The huge swells are born amid angry ocean storms in the northern Pacific, then roll across the sea for thousands of miles in search of a piece of land against which to vent their rage. They find it here, on the north shore of the Hawaiian island of Oahu. The combination of powerful breaking waves and onshore beauty makes this 30-mile strip of shoreline the mecca of the surfing world. And we're here today for the Women's Masters Surfing Championship at one of the North Shore's most famous spots, Sunset Beach, an invitational competition which brings together 8 of the very best among the athletes who travel the Women's Pro Surfing Tour. Linda DeVoli, 23 years old from Brigantine, New Jersey. Sherry Gross, 21 years old from Waialua, Hawaii. Sharon Holland, 17 years old from Woonona, Australia. Brenda Scott, 20 years old from Santa Cruz, California. Jericho Poppler, 28, from Long Beach, California. Rel Sun, 29 years old from Makaha, Hawaii. Emerson, 28 years old from the Hawaiian island of Maui. And Lynn Boyer, 23 years old from the Hawaiian town of Kailua. This is Jim Lampley reporting. The women you've seen will go into the water 2 at a time to face each other in an elimination tournament, a format new to surfing events. On shore, 5 judges will examine their rides, looking for skill and strength. But it is up to each surfer to choose the waves which will carry her farthest and take her as close as possible to the edge of her abilities without taking her beyond them. And working with me today as our expert commentator is the many-time world champion in this sport and 2-time winner of this event, Margot Oberg. Margot, for years we've been coming here and watching competition in which 6 women would go into the water all at once and choose their waves. Now, head-to-head competitions. How does that change the psyche for the surfer?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on all the girls out there because there's 2 in the water. They have plenty of time to analyze the competitive situation. They know what their competitor's doing. If they're behind, there's a lot of pressure for them to catch up.
Here's the first ride of the competition. Rel Sun up in her quarterfinal heat against Lynn Boyer, the favorite.
Rel's got a nice sized wave here. She's turning off the bottom, coming down to the bottom again. She's milking this wave for everything she can get. She does a little cut back here, and now she pulls out. It's very important that you complete a ride without falling off.
Rel is 29 years old. As we look again, keep in mind that she knows the break here at Sunset very well, having grown up on the North Shore.
Right now, she's putting her weight on her back foot to stall. She wants to become more involved in the wave, which means riding closer to the whitewater. You notice she turns off the bottom again. She puts her weight on her back foot and cuts back. The more turns you do, the more points you get. It puts you in the judge's eye that you're always in action, that you're going for it, and that you're aggressive. And that's what scores high in these surfing competitions.
Now here's her head-to-head opponent, Lynn Boyer.
Notice Lynn's going very fast here. She's racing. She's getting very involved. Oh, that's an exceptional 2 ride. She tucked right under the whitewater and disappeared for a second. That's what we consider the ultimate ride.
Here's another look in slow motion. It wasn't a long ride, but the moment she spent in the tube will impress the judges.
You'll notice Lynn here sets up this wave from the very beginning. She comes off the bottom and she's studding down the line. She gets in a racing stance here, looking at the curl. Now she pulls it off the bottom, and she's watching for the tube, and you'll notice it come right over now. She disappears from view, and that's one of the best waves you can get. The judges think the tube ride's critical, and they score it the highest.
Lynn Boyer is known as a very aggressive surfer. Rel Sun has a more classic Hawaiian style, and here's another look at Rel Sun.
Right, you know Rel stands very tall. She kind of bends down. She's very fluid. She doesn't do the radical tube rides and things like Lynn Boyer, but she has a stylish approach and she's well respected.
Now here's Lynn Boyer again.
She's approaching a nice section. She carves off the bottom, cuts back. Oh, wipeout.
We're back now at legendary Sunset Beach on the North Shore of Oahu for the final head-to-head match in the Women's Masters Surfing Competition. In the finals, each woman will ride 10 waves, and the best 5 rides count toward the championship. Again, working with me as our expert commentator, many times world champion Margot Oberg. The big story here is that the defending world champion and defending champion in this event, Lynn Boyer, has been knocked out of the competition, beaten in the semifinals by Nancy Emerson. So Margot, we go into the finals, Nancy Emerson of Hawaii against Jericho Poppler of the United States. How do you compare these 2 surfers?
Well, both Nancy and Jericho grew up in Southern California. They have a very similar style. They both stand up very tall. They're very stylish, very smooth. But the difference is Nancy Emerson's been in Hawaii for 10 years now. She's used to the big waves. She's used to the windy conditions. But Jericho Poppler's very aggressive. She's very determined. She's one of the most dedicated competitors. So it's the ultimate clash between the Hawaii soul surfer and the California hot dogger.
Here are the two finalists. Nancy Emerson of Hawaii in the foreground. Back behind her, Jericho Poppler already entering the water. Just a little while ago, I talked to Nancy. Nancy, you were raised in California, but then moved to Maui and actually began surfing here. You think of yourself as a Hawaiian-style surfer?
Yes, I do. With a lot of soul.
What does that mean in comparison to California style?
The style, I don't know, it varies. It's just a feeling of the way the people here live. There's a lot more love and just the soul of being in Hawaii. You have a lot more fluid, action in Hawaii than in California. They have more shorter waves.
Nancy Emerson got into this final by scoring a semifinal upset over this woman, Lynn Boyer, the current world champion and defending champion in this Masters. Here you see Lynn Boyer, who had some difficulty with the choppy surf. And behind her, Nancy Emerson got up. I think one thing you'll notice about Nancy is the great joy she takes from competing in this sport. You can see almost from the beach the degree of delight she gets from getting a good ride. In the other semifinal match, Jericho Poppler defeated Brenda Scott. It was an all-California semifinal, and with her victory, Poppler became the California representative in this final against Emerson of Hawaii. And a little while ago, I had a chance to talk to Jericho about her surfing style. A lot of people think that a Hawaiian has an advantage in bigger surf against a Californian. Do you agree?
I think so, but, I work really hard at it, and I travel all around the world, and so I think we can do it.
How does the head-on-head aspect of the competition change the way you surf? Are you more selective waiting for your waves?
Yes. I have more time for judgment and more time to figure out what I want to do on the wave, and I don't have to worry about anybody else except myself.
You're really pumped up, huh?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Now they begin. It'll go quickly, only a few rides for each. This is Jericho Poppler.
That looks like a great wave. It's lined up really nice. It's a little bit bouncy. She's having a little bit of a hard time. She gets in a little bit of a tube ride. She disappeared. I was thinking she was going to make it out there for a second.
Closed out. So, one down for Jericho Poppler. Let's look again.
You notice how that wave's lining up way in front of her. It's feathering at the top with white water. She carves off the bottom, and now she's doing a little bit of a crouch, hoping that she'll get a tube ride. Notice that kind of lean back, laid back style there. Jericho's waiting for the wave, and now she's figuring that it's about time to start milking it. She's doing a turn off the bottom here. Another stall. She's waiting for the tube. She gets tube, but unfortunately it closes out right on her.
She waited too long, and what she really needed was speed.
Right, I think she could have done a lot more turning on that wave, but she waited for the tube, and unfortunately it closed on her. I still think it's a very high-scoring ride.
Here's Nancy Emerson.
You notice how Nancy lifts her arms up, kind of just greeting the wave, and just has a great time. You see the smile on her face, and she's very happy to be in the final.
And well, she should be, having knocked off Lynn Boyer, but her first ride is a short one. She'll be looking for something better when we come back. Final match, Women's Masters Surfing Championship, Nancy Emerson.
Great ride by Nancy. She picked up a big wave, did a good bottom turn. You notice how she uses her knees and keeps wiggling her board from side to side. Those add up to a lot of points.
28 years old, lives on the island of Maui, competing in this event against this woman, Jericho Poppler from Long Beach, California.
Jericho really stroked hard in that wave and did a nice turn. Jericho's board looks a little shorter, which makes it more maneuverable. You know how she does a little quick turns from side to side? Now she kicks out. I think it's very good to kick out, lay down, and paddle out. It shows a lot of control.
Here's another look in slow motion at Jericho Poppler, a very intense competitor.
Notice that turn. Her board is blue on the top but red on the bottom. When you can see the red of the board, it shows that she really got on the side of her board and turned as hard as possible. She's crouching now, getting involved with the whitewater. As we pointed out, you get points for being in the critical part of the wave. When the whitewater slams on you and you don't fall off, that shows that you're a good surfer and you have a lot of control.
Judges on shore scrutinizing each wave carefully, judging them on a 20-point system, and one of these women will be the champion, Nancy Emerson.
Beautiful bottom turn there. There's a spray of whitewater coming off. See how she wiggles from side to side, lifts up her arms. She's having a fun time out there. Nancy's going for everything she can get out of the waves.
They're both very young, 28 years old, but between them they represent 32 years of surfing experience.
Notice how Nancy gets up early on this wave, crouches down. She's going for the distance. This is a beautiful bottom turn. Notice the flowing and the smoothness she was talking about. She tries to go and bend her knees to get a long, long ride. See the wiggling from side to side? All these add points because the judges know that you're trying to get speed, motion, distance, all the things that are very difficult. I love the way Nancy puts her arms up, bends down. Very stylish surfer.
Nice ride for Nancy Emerson, whose personality is a great contrast to that of Jericho. Now here's Jericho again.
A lot of speed for Jericho. Notice how every time she turns, there's a flare of white water. She goes off the bottom, off the top. Very similar to kind of a slalom skiing thing.
She surfs the way she is, much more intensely than Nancy.
Right, you notice how she likes to bend down, stay close to the white water. Here she stretches it back up to the top, comes back down. All these weight changes, it's a weight change from your front foot to your back foot, weighting and unweighting. It's a very good style, it's a very practical style, and it's put Jericho on the front ranks of women's surfing for probably the last 10 years.
She's been a runner-up here in the Women's Masters in the past. Now she's trying to nail down the championship. And it's late in the competition, perhaps only a couple of rides left.
Nancy's picked up a critical wave here. You notice the white water's just pounding on her. She's trying to get around the section to get a good curl and a good ride, but it looks like she's just straightening off, riding in. The wave just died out on her. That's a bad wave for Nancy.
And it may have been her last ride of the competition. Jericho Poppler once more.
Jericho's in the right place at the right time, picking up the big waves. She's coming around the sections there. Whenever you come around the white water and get involved in the green water, the judges give you a lot of points. Jericho's had the best waves, as I said, the biggest waves, and I'd say she's got an edge in this competition.
Here's another look at Jericho Poppler's last ride.
Jericho turns really hard there. You see the red on the bottom of her board? She's trimming. The white water's just pounding on her, but that aggressive, intense style, she just drives around the white water. She does a little cutback now to stay as close as she can to the white water. Jericho's doing super in this contest. Nancy's done about the best I've ever seen, but Jericho's wave selection and her intensity has given her a little bit of an advantage today.
She surfs with verve and style, and now the time limit has expired, so that was the last ride of the competition. And as Jericho Poppler paddles toward shore, you can see the confident smile on her face, which indicates that she believes she's won. And now, the decision of the judges has been made. Third place in the Women's Masters Surfing Championship, a tie between the two semifinal losers. Brenda Scott, whose friends call her Big B, last year's Rookie of the Year in women's pro surfing. She has a great future ahead of her. And Lynn Boyer, #1 on the circuit this year, but an upset loser in a semifinal today, nevertheless tied for third on a good performance. The woman who beat Lynn Boyer in that semifinal upset, Nancy Emerson from Maui, gets second place on one of her best days of competitive surfing ever. And victory, a well-deserved one, goes to Jericho Poppler from Long Beach, California, who's been here to the Women's Masters many times and today has won for the first time. Now this is Jim Lampley along with Margot Oberg saying so long from Sunset Beach.